Hello everybody and welcome to OmniPoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. I'm Jack and today we have had some really exciting news, and information based on the 2021 Championship Series for the Pokemon TCG. Obviously the 2020 series was cancelled indefinitely because of the worldwide coronavirus pandemic, and Worlds was cancelled. I think it was late March that they announced that they were cancelling, or maybe late April, around that time. They were cancelling NAIC and Worlds, and the rest of the season was cut off. They said we would get some information about how Worlds would work in 2021, and they did promise that everyone would be getting, or everyone that had qualified for Worlds would be still eligible for the 2021 Worlds. But that was basically all we heard. So today we've had some new information based on how qualification for Worlds next year is going to work. It's still taking place in London, and there is some pretty significant changes, so I wanted to go through a couple of them, get a video out there, and because I want to hear your guys' thoughts about the changes, whether you like them, whether you don't like them, how you thought they were going to handle it, things like that. Plus I want to give my opinion on a couple of things that they've done. But in general, let's just kick off with the actual announcement. So this is the first look at plans for the 2021 Worlds. We've got here, it says planning is underway for the 2021 Championship season. Pokemon Organised Play joins players in looking forward to the resumption of our exciting competitions around the world. The health and safety of our communities continue to be the most important aspect of resuming live events, and the situation is being continually monitored. The timing for the next live Play Pokemon events will be determined by the health mandates, guidelines and recommendations provided by appropriate government agencies. So notably, they haven't said when events are coming back. It will be down to specific governments. I would be surprised if we saw specific events come back in certain regions, but not in other regions, or in specific countries, but not in other countries. I think it will be a region-based. I could see maybe events starting in Europe before North America because their invite systems are different, but I could see, I can't see events starting in the UK but not in France or Spain or somewhere like that. I think, personally, that we will see events start in regions, but not necessarily as a worldwide thing, because obviously everywhere in the world is at different points with the pandemic, and also governments, are all handling their own countries differently. So I would personally expect that we won't have events start up worldwide all at once, but I think we won't also have just specific countries starting events, because it would be unfair for specific countries to get more events than or events starting before others, and that kind of thing. So I expect it to be region-based but not country-based. I would be surprised if it was worldwide, but I could also see that if they just wanted everyone to be kind of on a level playing field when this whole when they kick things off all at once, it could honestly be like that. I think it will be one of the two, but like I say, I don't think at all it will be country-based. I think it will either be region-based events kicking off, or events kicking off worldwide all at once. Actually, the more I think about it, it probably would be worldwide, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But in general, about Worlds, this update provides information about the 2021 Championship Series season under the assumption that play can resume in some form over the next 12 months. So they're hoping to resume play by at the end of June next year. I think that's a fairly safe estimate from them. Obviously, there's a lot that can happen in 12 months. I think if we'd sat here 12 months ago, we wouldn't have expected any of this, but I think they had to put this in kind of as a way of just saying that they would like events to start in the next 12 months, so I think that's fair enough. But no clear date has been given. Events remain suspended, but the plan for the next season anticipate that the World Championships will take place in London in August 2021. So they are anticipating that Worlds will be able to go ahead. Okay, so here are the changes. Accordingly, the following changes are being made. The age division for players in the 2021 season will be the same as the age division for the 2020 season. And then the juniors, seniors and masters breakdown. I think this was kind of expected, and I think it is 100% the correct decision to make. This means that there will be no aging up this year. Usually in September, players age up from juniors to seniors and seniors to masters. This year, there's no aging up. I think that's completely fair, and I think it makes sense. It means that the juniors and seniors that qualified for stipends in their respective age groups, they still will be eligible for their stipends next year, and I think that's completely fair. Obviously, they worked really hard this year to get there, so I think that's a very, very fair thing for Pokemon to do, and I'm glad they've done that. I do think, in general, we will probably see a double age up next year. I don't think this will now just be an extension of 1 year for both the junior and senior divisions. I think, in general, they will crack it back down and we'll have 2 years of seniors going to masters and 2 years of juniors going to seniors. I don't think this will be the norm. I don't think it will just go back to the 1 year thing. I think we will have a skip next year. But that's largely irrelevant. Right now, the main thing that matters is that the juniors and seniors that did really well this year will be rewarded with their stipends and top 22 and all of that good stuff, which is really, really good. And I'm really, really happy that they addressed this because I know it was an issue for a lot of people. So yeah, I'm very, very pleased about this first announcement. Next up, the 2021 World Championships will take place over 4 days beginning on Thursday. So this is the first very new change. Usually Worlds begins on a Friday. You have day 1 on the Friday, day 2 where the top 22 players from Europe, the top 16 from America, I believe it's the top 8 from Latin America and the top 8 from Oceania, and then there's a special way of qualifying in Japan, I believe. All of those players, plus all of the players that get an usually an X2 record from day 1, go into day 2, and that tournament then goes to a top 8. That's usually around 100 person tournament. This year, we're beginning on a Thursday, so Thursday will be essentially day 0 or the new day 1. And as you'll see in a moment, day 1 on the Thursday, people will then qualify for day 2, which will be on the Friday. Day 2 will then qualify for day 3, which will be on the Saturday, and day 3 will be the old day 2. Basically, I believe stipends will go straight to day 3, sorry, and you'll see in a moment that there is a way to go straight to day 2, and then there is a way to just go in at day 1. So yeah, the event beginning on a Thursday, I personally am very pleased about because I have only been, even though I've qualified a few times, I've only ever been able to attend Worlds once. So Worlds still has a very, very special and exciting... I mean, I think in general to a lot of players, Worlds is a very special and exciting event anyway. But to me personally, Worlds is still a very, very new, fun and exciting experience for me. So I'm very pleased that they're making the event bigger. In general, I can see both sides of it. I know some people don't like big events in general. There's not necessarily... I've already had a conversation today about this. Some people don't necessarily want the event to be shorter, but they feel like if they have to qualify for day 1, to then qualify for day 2, to then qualify for day 3, to be even in with a chance for top 8, that feels pretty... like it can feel pretty bad. It's like two hurdles you have to get over now rather than one, so I can definitely see the downsides of it. Personally, I'm pleased that we're getting a bigger Worlds and a longer event because I enjoyed Worlds so much last year that I 100% am down for a bigger event in general. That being said, I can see the downsides of the whole 2-day thing, and I'll talk about that in the CP qualifications point in a moment. But yeah, I can see why it kind of takes away from the amount of effort put in this year, because if you got an event, if you got an invite this year, you then still have to go through 2 sort of day 1 scenarios where you can be knocked out. It's usually like a triple elim kind of thing where you can be knocked out, and now you're being knocked out on the Thursday and the event's lasting even longer. So in general, it just feels a bit worse if you're knocked out of the event early. So I can see the downsides for sure. And maybe when I go 03 on the Thursday, I'm going to be like, well, this was dumb. I could have been playing tomorrow. But at the same time, I enjoyed Worlds so much that any kind of event, for me at least, it still has this sort of special, almost, very unreal sort of sense to me because I've only ever got to go once. So personally for me, I'm excited that the event is longer, but I can also definitely see how it it makes the work of this year seem less important because you now have 2 chances to not even make it into, the point where you get packs, you get prizes, that kind of thing. So yeah, in general, I think there's pluses and minuses, but I think I personally am happy that with it starting on day, on the Thursday. I can see the downsides though. The next point is the championship points paragraph. The CP that eligible players earned in 2020 will transfer in whole to the 2021 season. Players will continue to add to this total with any CP earned in the 2021. So everyone is carrying on where they were. They kind of said this in their first announcement, and it is exactly as we expected. Everyone keeps their amount of CP from where they are right now, which is very important. Obviously, we'll be able to build up these totals, and now we can see what we are sort of aiming for. There's not much to say about that point. It was kind of expected. There will be 2 CP qualification bars. Thursday players who reach the qualification bar that is the same as the 2020 bar. Therefore, players who were previously qualified for Worlds are still qualified for 2021. So basically, to qualify on the Thursday, you need in Europe 350 points. I believe in America it was 500. And in Latin America and Australia it was 250. I could be wrong about... the only one I know for sure is Europe though. Basically, so that's the new day one. Everyone who has that already is auto-qualified for the Thursday, as they would have been auto-qualified for the Friday this year. So everyone who has a Worlds invite now, or would have had a Worlds invite if we'd had Worlds, still has a Worlds invite. They haven't announced this, unless I'm misinterpreting it. I don't believe they've put in writing, but I think it's safe to say that if you have 325 points, if you earn 25 points in the 2021 season, you'll be qualified for Thursday. There's no hard and fast. Oh no, there is. The players who reach the qualification mark. So yeah, exactly. If you reach 350, you're getting a Thursday invite. That's basically no different to as if we had Worlds this year, except it's on the Thursday and the Friday. Now, Friday players who reach a new CP bar set in 2021, when more information is available about qualifying events, players who hit the Friday CP bar will skip play on Thursday. So basically what you can see this as is the old top 22 rule is now going to be a CP bar. So we're going to have a CP bar that is, let's say maybe 600 in Europe or 700. Let's just say double the current invite. It's going to be a new CP bar that's double. That will qualify you for not having to play day one on the Thursday. Instead of the top 22, I still think they haven't announced it here, but I still expect some kind of top 22 system where people will auto qualify for Saturday. Obviously, like I said, there's no announcement for it here, but they want to reward people who were in top 22, who were lined up to be in top 22 this year. They want to reward these players somehow, so I do expect we will see some kind of update in the very near future, or in the near future at least, I would hope, saying that there will still be a top 22, top 16 system that will auto-qualify the top 22 or the top 16 players for day 3, the Saturday. So now basically all that's different is we had 2 days. We had day 1 where you had a Worlds invite, and we had day 2 where you either qualified from day 1 or you were top 22. Now basically we're splitting it up. So everyone who has a Worlds invite goes in here. Everyone who's top 22 goes here. Then in the middle, if you're in this middle sort of section where you earn X amount, you don't have to play on day 1, but you're not in the top 22, you get to play on day 2. Interestingly, this is something that I've seen a lot of people petition for in the past. There's been, I've seen a lot of people say, I don't like that there's such a disparity between the Worlds invite being 350 and top 22 being, close to 1,000 points. What about if I get 600 points? This is a really nice way of them being able to reward people who further push themselves, further get more points. Obviously, it's in a bit of a different system this year because we have doubled the Worlds invite system. But in general, this could be an interesting way of them providing rewards to players who don't want to or can't push for top 22, but are able to maybe get an invite quite quickly but still want to play. That provides a reward for them. So actually, I think that system is quite nice. The system the part of it that I can see issue with is that it's basically another last chance qualifier. So you can do all of that stuff and still be knocked out in 3 rounds. Now, unfortunately, there's no perfect system, I don't think. And this year especially, Joe and myself have talked about sort of a buy system in the past, where if your invite is 350 but you earn over 500 points, you maybe get a buy, and then if you earn over 750 points, you get a second buy in day one. I don't think they can do that this year because in general there's too much benefit to the League Cup and League Challenge system. It's too open to be abused for people to get buys in a Worlds level event from just doing well at local events. I think that's why we have never seen a system like this before, and I think that's why we won't see a buy system this year. What I will say is I could see this system being the new norm and us having some kind of incentive to push for more than a Worlds invite, but not quite top 22. Maybe a 1-2, maybe even a 3 round buy in day one of Worlds if you achieve over 100 more points, 250 more points, 400 more points. Obviously, that kind of thing I think is definitely a system that I could see Pokemon going towards, and I actually see this as maybe a bit of a test to see how people react to a tiered invite system. I could see people I can see Pokemon sort of looking at this and seeing how people want to approach the new tiered system. If there's not much interest, then maybe they scrap it. If there's a lot of interest, if there's a lot of people pushing to not have to play on the Thursday, I could really see it definitely becoming, in some capacity, more of a system in the current way we have Worlds invites. So yeah, it's definitely a really, really interesting system. In general, personally, I'm quite pleased with it. I have my Worlds invite, which is nice. So I'm guaranteed to play on the Thursday. I have nearly 150 points over my Worlds invite, so I'm in a decent position for the Friday if I want to carry on playing. I don't know that I want to carry on playing. I don't know whether I'm just happy to play on the Thursday. How much I play towards the Friday system or towards top 22, because I was considering at least going for some stipend stuff before the season was cancelled, will depend on a multitude of factors. It'll depend on, safety of events. It'll depend on how many events I can get to. It'll depend on a lot of different things. But I am in a fortunate enough position to be able to benefit from the system if I want to. I know there are people that perhaps aren't and maybe are a little bit more angry at this kind of system, and I think that's completely understandable. But I think it was very difficult for them to have a perfect system given the uncertainty of current world events, as well as them being in a completely unprecedented, uncharted waters. I think it was difficult, especially for them to get right first time. I think it was going to be difficult. The thing that I, at least off the top of my head, think would have been the best was if they were able to start events up in March, the weekend after events were cancelled this year. If they were able to start events up next March and basically have the season carry on as it was, and just basically have this little paragraph here about people not aging up. That's all they have to do then. They say, we're restarting the season where it was. And then everything is the exact same. Basically, this year is just null and void. We ignore the fact that there was a year of no play because everyone still has the same amount of CP. There's still the amount of events left, or they try and structure it so that there is an amount of events left in as similar of a capacity as possible to what there was before, and they don't change anything about Worlds except that it's just probably going to be a bit more prestigious because more people will want to go because they didn't get to go to Worlds this year. Of course, the issues with that are it's completely dependent on the coronavirus. If everything is all done and dusted and events are able to start and everything's safe enough by the end of, I don't know, even November or something. That's just an example. I don't know when we're looking at events starting again. But for example, if they were ready in November, but they'd announced that the season was starting in March, that's 4 months of no events, of no profit, but also of no experience, interaction, and enjoyment of the game. And also on the flip side, if they had said we'll start in March and then everything, sort of isn't ready by the time that March comes around, they've let people down. So whilst I think that would have been the perfect solution, I think it was almost impossible for them to do that because, it's too dependent on factors that are out of their control. So that would have been the perfect system, but I don't think it was ever going to happen. This, I think, is a fairly decent system. It's going to be a more prestigious Worlds. It's going to be a longer event. It's going to be, I think, a more enjoyable event. I think in general next year's Worlds is going to be insane because we haven't been able to go for this year. So I feel like there's going to be more buzz, more excitement around the event in general anyway. And now we're extending it by an extra day to, store and enjoy all of that buzz and excitement. I can see the downsides. I can see the disappointment of having to go through a last chance qualifier to then go into another last chance qualifier to then even get to what some people consider the real event. Personally, after playing it, I felt like the day one was I felt like any sort of part of being at Worlds was the real event for me. But I know some people gun for that day two, and now they have to go over hurdles a little bit more. But at the same time, whilst this does mean more playing, more taking part in events, they can still be in the exact same position they would have been if we'd had Worlds this year, if they don't mind playing a few more events. And I don't think the requirements will be above double what they were last year. I don't think if the events, if it was 350 for a Worlds invite in Europe, I don't think the Friday players, the CP qualification, I don't think will be any higher than 700. I don't think they would do that because I think it's unlikely that we're going to see a full season this year even. So you can look at it technically as an even easier Worlds next year because it could be like 250, maybe even 150 to be able to get to the Friday. So in general, I think this is a fairly good system. I think it rewards as many players as it can, whilst I observe that it definitely disappoints some, but even so, I think there definitely would be room for improvement. But I think with the fact we've got some information already is very exciting. This is 15 months ahead of the event, or 13 months, I guess, ahead of the event. If we're now looking at this being July, the start of July, but this information is obviously really, really good to look at, and in general, I'm pretty sure, or I'd like to think, no matter what, people are going to be excited for Worlds next year. Everyone's keeping their fingers crossed that it happens. Obviously, like I said, we couldn't have predicted this situation we're in 12 months ago, even 6 months ago. So we don't know whether we'll even see a Worlds next year. But I am crossing every single finger and toe in my body that we are able to get to Worlds next year. And seeing some information about it already is very exciting. So yeah, I'm really interested to see what you guys think. What do you think the CP requirements will be? What do you think of the system in general? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? What would you have seen differently? What do you think of the buy system? Do you think this kind of system could become more solid, and the system in general towards when we have like a normal schedule again, trying to go to events at a regular pace after this is all sort of everything's slowly got back to normal. What do you guys think? I'm really interested in all of that. The CP requirement, the buy system, the day two system, the 2-day system, the staggered tiered invites. I'm interested in all of it. Please leave it all in the comments. Really appreciate all of the comments and all of the love you've been giving us, guys, so far over the past few months. We've got some really exciting Darkness Ablaze content coming out very soon. as well as the announcement to the giveaway winner tomorrow, as well as a little quicker announcement from me about some stuff, and then we're full force, hopefully, into the Darkness Ablaze content. So yeah, really excited. Very excited to hear about the Worlds season as well, or the Worlds 2021 event as well. So yeah, pretty interesting information, and to me, any information in general, I'm just happy to hear it at this point. I think personally, the system isn't awful. I don't think it's I don't think it's perfect, but I don't think it's awful. And yeah, I'm really interested to see what you guys think of it as well. So yeah, other than that, thank you very much. I've been Jack from OmniPoke, and I look forward to seeing you guys in another video.